Have you ever been left stranded because of corroded battery terminals, or had trouble adding accessories to your vehicle because of the style of battery terminals? If so, then stick around because this video will show you how to upgrade to marine-style terminals for top post batteries, which also make it easier to disconnect your battery or connect accessories. The first step is to disconnect your battery. Disconnect the negative terminal first, and then disconnect the positive terminal. The corroded positive terminal is one of the things we'll be fixing today. The new terminals will slip right onto the top post of the battery. They are equipped with a stud and wing nut, which will allow wires with ring terminals to easily be added and removed. Before the lugs can be attached to the battery cables, the cables first need to be prepared. Here, I'm removing the old heat shrink tubing with a sharp knife, which will allow me to cut the cables as close to the old terminal as possible. Once the heat shrink has been removed, simply cut the old battery terminal connector using a pair of cable cutters. After the cables have been freed, some insulation will need to be removed before crimping on the new lugs. After finding the appropriate size lug, use it to determine how much insulation to remove. If you do not have a pair of wire strippers for this gauge wire, you can remove the insulation using a sharp knife. Just use caution to not cut through the actual wire or yourself. Finally, slip a piece of heat shrink tubing onto the wire, which will be used later to create a weather-tight seal between the wire and the lug. After all the cables that need to be attached to the battery have been prepared, it is time to crimp on the lugs. Here, I'm using a hydraulic hand press that I picked up on Amazon. I'll leave a link in the description below. Regardless of the tool that you use to make the crimp, you want to ensure that you're able to get a very firm, secure crimp of the lug onto the cable. After you have finished crimping the lug onto the cable, check to make sure that it is indeed secure. You should not be able to pull the cable out of the lug. If it is loose, you'd rather find that out now instead of when you're driving down the road and the cable works itself loose from the lug due to the vibration. You'll need to repeat this process for all cables that need lugs crimped on. After all the lugs have been crimped on, apply a heat source from a heat gun or similar to the heat shrink tubing to achieve a nice weather-tight seal. If you don't have access to a heat gun, although not recommended, a lighter can be used if you're careful. Repeat this process for all wires. The final step is to slip the lugs over the stud on the terminals. After the lugs have been aligned, simply tighten the wing nuts. Note that installation is the reverse of removal, namely, connect the positive battery cables first, and then connect the negative battery cables. I hope you found this video helpful. If you'd like to be notified when new videos come out, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. Until next time, this has been with Grev's Garage.